These guys are not experts.
And I'm not sure they're even that smart.
They do like video games.
And I guess you could say they're funny.
Sometimes.
Well, they do like to talk.
And they do have opinions.
It's time for Video Game Replays!
Thank you for joining us again here on Video Game Replay. My name is Larry IR Bunky. Joining me is my co-host Aiden.
What's up, guys? Aiden in the building. Larry, what we got going today?
Well, our boy CJ still got his personal things going on. He's still all right. He's making it. Just got some shit happening. So we're coming at you again with another extra. This week we're going to cover Final Fight for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. But we'll cover all that in just a bit. Aiden, it is No Shave November. See, you're supporting it well, and somehow I've gotten this far in it. It's cold. It's terrible. We've got our first real freeze winter hitting everybody this time of year, and it's just been a little rough. But how are you doing, man? How you been?
I've been doing pretty good. I don't know if the hair counts. I got my ears lowered, shaved that up a little bit, so I don't know if that counts. I guess you did use some clippers to shave my head, but beard's still going strong. Yeah, we did get that little frost. I realized, or actually we got about an inch of snow. I did realize that that long hair, it keeps you warmer than you think. Came out that barber's place. Pretty chilly. But yeah, not a lot going on. Shivering, freezing in the house. Other than that, not too much.
It's rough because it is that time of year where there's not a whole lot else to get into, but I mean, like I say, I know it's video game time. I know I've been playing a little bit of Minecraft and trying to pick up some other games. I know prior I mentioned I was doing some DOS games, and I still have that loading up in the chute. Just haven't had a lot of time for editing. Can't play if I'm going to edit, and I want to play right now instead of edit. So we'll see how those go. But I know you told me you've been playing a new game. What have you been into? What's your game of the moment?
I've been playing Arc Raiders. It's a new game. I think it came out a couple of weeks ago. It's about $40. I kind of splurged on it, but I really wanted to play it. I had a couple friends that had it. It's pretty much the premise. You got these advanced robots with guns and lasers and fire shit on the surface of the earth that kind of force humans underground because they're so strong. They're pretty much just killing everything. So humans are now underground, and they send people above ground called raiders to kind of collect gear, survival stuff, some blueprints, some different weapons to fight the Ark. Ark is what they call the robots that has taken over the surface.
Okay.
And as raiders, you fight PvE, so you fight these robots and you fight other raiders that are up there kind of trying to get your shit. So it's kind of kill or be killed if you're on the surface. And at the very end, you got to extract to the elevator and go back down to, I think it's called Sylvania, or Sylvania is like the underground place. But yeah, it's pretty cool. It's an extraction shooter. It's kind of, to me, if you guys know, it's a mix of a game called Escape from Tarkov and Helldivers. It has a little PvE, little PvP. It's an extraction shooter, but that's pretty much been my last 3 days. I think I was averaging like 7 hours a day on it with my work being shut down, doing nothing else but playing some Arc Raiders. So that's pretty much been my life.
I know you mentioned it to me right before we got started here, and I glanced over at it, and it looks intense. I mean, like I say, the 3D graphics going on for fighting these giant ass robots and things going on there. I don't know if an old man like me can handle such shit. I do well to just stay in the world of Contra and stuff. So you know. But
yeah, it's a lot for sure, and it's pretty PC intensive. If I don't even have that good of a PC, but I can run it with low graphics on like around 100 FPS pretty consistently, but high graphics, man, I had about 60 FPS consistently, and it's a little rough at times for sure because it uses, I think, Unreal Engine 5. It's one of those games where it's kind of like hyper realistic. So I understand that's kind of where the future of gaming is headed. That kind of realistic Unreal Engine 5, a lot of GPU, CPU intensive stuff, but I've been having a blast with it so far.
well, hey, that's always good to have something to get into and get into play. Like I said, outside of the ones I've told myself I want to get through, like say the DOS games I mentioned, I'm getting into. The Minecraft was really just I started over the weekend with my daughter. Actually, about a week or two ago, we started a new world. We do this about every other month, and we'll get through about a month of it, and it just kind of fades away. Um, there's been a lot. I've strangely because I looked up something. It's been in my feed. They apparently have jacked up Bedrock to a point where people are really pissed off about it. That's the version we play at the house. We play it online or whatever. Then yeah, we use Java. But I guess the biggest thing is just where they decided to plug in all this buy me stuff. Um, I'm trying to think what the shop's called, but basically where you opened up Minecraft, you had play now settings, enter realm. I think it's now
Mm,
play now, buy something, or enter the realms, and the settings has been shoved off to the side. So I don't know. I don't spend on it. I'm happy to be vanilla in my Minecraft world, so it gets me through it. But
same here.
outside of that, though, that's pretty much about the only gaming I really had. But behind the scenes, I think it's only been what 4 days, 5 days since we've talked to each other last. So
I think so. So not a ton of time to play a bunch of different games, but still got my gaming fix in. That's for sure.
no, it's that time of year. Like I say, my couple things I need to get done, wind down, and yeah, getting through the holidays, and yeah, my ass will be doing nothing but gaming. So looking forward to it. But this week I do have a simple question of the week. Since I feel this is gonna be a heavy nostalgia heavy episode, I figured let's touch a little nostalgia. Aiden, I'm not gonna put you back into like your very young age of 4 or 5, watching Sesame Street or Blue's Clues or whatever you guys watched back in the day. If you feel like it, go
Hmm.
ahead. I don't care. What was your cartoon of your time? What was your show? What was it? The one you had to go.
Man, I'm trying to think of my eras here. Uh, I had really a lot of DreamWorks. I think it's DreamWorks, like Kung Fu Panda movies and How to Train Your Dragon movies. There was these
Okay.
spin-off TV shows that I think maybe around age 10 or 11, I was kind of like the How to Train Your Dragon and Kung Fu Panda like spin-off TV shows. That was my jam. There was a around that same time there was a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle show. But I have to say, if I had later in my years, I would say underrated show, a show that I could literally still watch now, is Amazing World of Gumball. That shows that show is nice.
I somewhere actually I thought I heard something recently. They're gonna reboot that or like start up a couple more seasons of that.
I hope they do. It actually got some pretty good comedy in it. It's entertaining for sure.
Weird story since you brought up that one. My mother, she had some dental issues. She had her teeth pulled several years ago, so we have to go back every so often and just have her make sure everything's checked out okay, nothing's messed up. But I got to become fairly good friends with the dentist there, and one day he came in, he just looked like he'd been on a bender. Well, the problem is he's had a couple new kids over the years. I realized at this point we've been seeing him for 10 years. So his new kids actually were about 6, 7 at the time, and he had a couple young ones in there. So he's been looking rough. But we went on this whole 30-minute conversation while he's got his hands in my mom's mouth doing shit, talking about the world of Gumball. So it's just like he's like, oh man, I love that show, dude. It's like I started watching it one day. It's like, what the hell is this stuff? But the longer we sat there and watched it, it's like, this is fucking great. I'm
I
just
know
like, yeah,
it's actually good.
oh, it's
If I
very
had
good.
to
I go ahead.
if I had to pick one, kind of going up to modern to around 10, one of if not my favorite show of all time. I grew up on it. Avatar: The Last Airbender. That's I have two of my cats. I have Momo and Suki. Two of my cats come from my names I got from that show. Obviously, they're not the first. Momo and Suki didn't come from Avatar, but that's what they're based off of. It has to be one of my favorite shows of all time, and it still holds up. Great show. Remember at my babysitter's watching it, of course, out of order, but that was always the coolest thing in the world to me. Watching them control the elements and fight. That shit was fire.
It was pretty good. I think what we caught that one once was the summer. I think we went and stayed at a beach house, and basically any downtime you had, that's what you had on the TV was some
Oh
Airbender. I think the
boy,
last 2 or 3 seasons of it or something like that.
I
I
had
mean,
all the CDs, all the
yeah.
seasons.
Oh, I think even it was at the point of like streaming it, so it was out there, and If you were
Yeah,
the
I
first one
still
to get
watch
your
the
hands
show.
on it, if you were first one to get your hands on the TV, you're watching some Airbender. So, and actually, like I said, I kind of got me into it a little bit, at least enough that I can follow it now.
I really enjoyed it. Still do.
It was good stuff. Part of the reason I asked this is I forgot to mention over the last couple of days I helped my brother move into his new house, and of course, we had stories and talking about things, and got me back to the realization of the things that me and him shared as kids, and one of those things is the original G1 Transformers. It's one of those you love it because the concept is so awesome. Transformers, robots in disguise that transform into your favorite vehicles, weapons, and airplanes and stuff. But it does not age well. You go back and watch it; it's lame. It's terribly lame. Um, which I'll use to bridge over to. I did catch there's a channel on Pluto or Tubi or one of these new streaming services that's basically just nothing but Transformers. And it's a live channel actually. Like you can't. It's not like one of those where you can load episode one or
Yeah.
any of that stuff. It's just playing. So it'll have a 2 hour block of one particular season of Transformers G1. The next one's Armada. The next one's Bumblebee's Adventures in the Cyberverse is the one I was watching. And I just kind of got hooked into that. Like, this is a pretty good run of this stuff. So um, I'm gonna have to go back and find that. It was like season 4. The Quintessons were in there, and it was really pretty good. And I highly recommend that to check that out because I know the Machima one they did was rather adult, but it was all the Titans and all the Combiner Wars, I think is what it was. That was a weird one, but going back, um, back to where I initially started. Yeah, I think, like I say, I have a lot of G1 feelings for Transformers. The original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was the reason I was up. Um, I'll also say Garfield and Friends. That is something that was a staple in my day. Uh, it is a half-hour block. You got a Garfield cartoon for about 7 minutes, whatever it be. A quick 30-second, 1 second short, which was much like the comic strips you would read in the paper, where it had 3 different panels of something happening. It went into a different show, which I guess can't think of the guy's name, but the guy who wrote Jim Davis made was called USA Farm or Farm Life or something, but it had all these animals who were pigs and ducks and just doing their little weird farm thing. And then you had another episode of Garfield all slapped in this one big show, and it was a good variety hour in the morning on Saturdays. It was definitely a serial cruncher, and I think those three, at least I'll stop there. I could go on for about an hour talking about this, but those three were
Yeah,
definitely my childhood there.
I've thought about 2 or 3 more at least while you're talking. I was definitely a cartoon kid growing up. I would get up at 7 a.m. watch cartoons. Uh, like weirdly enough, my parents would always say you're weirdo for that. Being like 12 years old, getting up at 7 a.m. on a Saturday to watch
Oh hell no!
cartoons. Yeah,
No,
I was pretty
that's
much
where they put some of the best ones. I mean, I one it's weird you say that because I do remember your folks complaining. You were the kid who was up every damn morning at like 6 o'clock. I
I know.
goes nothing, and I guess it's to watch the cartoons and catch what you got. And but now look at you, 6 o'clock's a bedtime, not a get up time.
I know. I'll get up in the morning, either eat a half a box of cinnamon toast crunch or half a container of Chips Ahoy cookies.
Oh
It
yeah,
was a toss up every morning. Chips
get a
Ahoy
little milk
cookies
in it,
though.
man.
Yeah,
Goes
yeah.
all the way.
But yeah, I forgot to mention a couple. Of course, SpongeBob, uh, classic. Weirdly enough, when I
No,
was like really young, my mom and grandma were really anti SpongeBob. We're like, oh, that stuff's gonna rot your mind. I feel like that was a pretty common thing, but SpongeBob's a classic for sure.
SpongeBob had its. I can see where, as an adult, you can say that stuff's gonna rot your mind. I mean, bringing into the day, it's like this whole 6-7 shit. It doesn't make sense. I don't get it, but it's there. But I'm gonna argue for SpongeBob. SpongeBob was an adult. He had a job. He's living his best life, and he was always ready to go. I mean, I don't
You're not at all
the
wrong.
small traits that SpongeBob carried were there, but I think the thing was is people could get past his simplicity. It's almost the same concept of like Beavis and Butthead, where people always thought, well, this is stupid, and that was the idea: is these guys are stupid. Don't be these guys.
Yeah.
Um, but I think, like I say, SpongeBob was just be simple, be happy, and go do your shit.
I had the Justice League. the Justice League cartoon, which
Mhm.
you might be thinking of a different one, but there's one like early, maybe earlier, a little late, or a little like mid 2000s. There was Star Wars Clone Wars, which I think was more of like a
Yeah.
3D, but
Oh,
that was solid for sure.
is that the Grand Tartarsky or whatever his name was? The guy who did the Powerpuff Girls one. Is that the one you're talking about?
No, but that one
Tartinsky.
was pretty good too. I know what you're talking about. That one was pretty solid
Okay.
too.
So you're more towards the Disney side one, are you, or no?
Yeah, it was. I think the one you're talking about was like still 2D. This was kind of like a little
Okay.
like 3D type.
Hmm.
I could be completely making everything up, but Star Wars Clone Wars was pretty good. The old Justice League. There's a couple Batman series, like animated Batman.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I was on all of that.
Well, I think we'll touch one more here that I think that we'll have a good opinion and good thought on. May bring out some people on this one. So, if you got an opinion, don't forget to reach out and tell us how you felt about this one. Where are you on this? Were you Teen Titans or Teen Titans Go? Which one was the better one to you?
You know what? People, the big popular opinion is Teens Titans Go is bad, or like not that. But I love the original Teen Titans was better in my opinion. But Teen Titans Go, that's a funny show. I'm sorry. I think that show is funny. I like Teen Titans Go for sure. But if I had to pick like right now, which one I'd rather watch, the original Teen Titans I think was better. It was more serious, but as like a kind of a comedy, more like kind of more like a comedic version of it. Teen Titans Go is not bad at all. Like I'm unashamed to say I like Teen Titans Go.
I fought it for the first couple of seasons. I was a hardcore man. I think Teen Titans, man. Teen Titans were badasses. You know, going out there saving Gotham and doing all their stuff, and taking care of everything that no one else could. Um, but once I stopped, to kind of learn to appreciate the Teen Titans Go for what they were, it's like this is a whole different universe, and Robin is just the fucking best, dude. I'm sorry, I love me some Robin. He
That's a
but
very
it
funny
was
show.
it's like you say, it was cartoony, and there's nothing wrong
Mhm.
with sometimes doing that. I mean, it wasn't trying to take, I guess it's trying to take a character base that but make it different, which can't beat that idea. Now, if they actually took the Teen Titans that I'm talking about, I think from the late '90s, early 2000s, and then tried to make that funny, that wouldn't have worked. Yeah, 'cause
Yeah,
that wouldn't have gone.
100%.
But the cartoony version of Teen Titans Go was fucking hilarious, and strangely I missed that show.
Yeah, I do too. I find myself missing a lot of stuff like that as I get older. I realize that's like my childhood, and I'm kind of don't watch that stuff like at all anymore, just because we don't even have. Usually, like it's always like in childhood, it's always on in the background. You got some cartoons on, but we don't even got. We just got streaming stuff now. We don't even got the regular like channels. I'm trying to think of the name. I can't remember it. It's like just regular cable. I don't
Like,
know why.
well, I think that's why Cartoon Network. I think Cartoon Network's dying. I think it's gone. I know the website's gone.
Yeah,
You can't go there anymore.
it's sad, but it probably is.
Yeah, yeah, man.
I was just gonna say also I forgot there was some. I'm definitely a big anime guy now, but there's a few anime I would like if Naruto was on Nickelodeon and watch Naruto. Pokemon, obviously, I never watched in order because like I just watched whatever was on
Yeah.
Nickelodeon at that time. Some Pokemon, some older Pokemon like Indigo. Uh, yeah, a little Dragon Ball. Not a ton, but some Dragon Ball. If it was on, I'd definitely watch it. I
Oh,
want to say
it's
that the older
I,
Dragon Ball. This might be a hot take, but the older Dragon Ball does not hold up as well with time for sure. It's got some pacing issues. Uh,
it it does got terrible pacing issues, especially if you talk about the original. You talk about Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z.
whichever one's like the older one. Like
Well, Dragon Ball's when he's like a little kid,
I
and then Z's when he grew up, started fighting Frieza and Cell and all them.
really they both got pacing issues, but the older one is a little worse. I feel like the
Well,
original Dragon Ball.
I'm thinking like I said, I still think your brain's wanting to go towards Z because I do know there was a spot where Toragama, I think who wrote it, but either way, they went from a point where he started to fight Frieza and they had to kind of stretch it out because he hadn't actually wrote the manga yet to catch up to the cartoon. So they were kind of like, oh, 5 minutes later and 30 episodes later, 2 minutes later. I mean,
Yeah.
just this is how that shit goes, and they stretched it out real bad.
Yeah.
I think Now there's a Dragon Ball Z Kai, which is an edited version, which cuts out a lot of the quote unquote filler. I
Mm-hmm.
had started back into it a while ago, but I mean, there's a part where Goku dies, and if you don't know that, then you have to watch Dragon Ball. Don't worry, it's not a big spoiler. It's like first season shit.
Yeah.
But he dies, and he's like on Snake Way, and he falls off, and he goes to hell, and he has to deal with all these demons there, demons, women, all that stuff, and they aren't like huge players, but they have parts in this thing throughout later. They cut all that out. I mean, he just didn't even fall. He didn't fall asleep. He just made it to where he was going to King Kai's place, and I'm like,
Yeah. It kind of gets rocky with that. I know there's an issue with a lot of anime, especially a lot of older anime. Like you older anime like One Piece, like Dragon Ball, like some original Naruto. There's two ways of dealing with that, not being caught up to the manga. You can either spread the pacing out to where it's really hard to watch, or you can add a filler episode, which is pretty much like an episode, like a cartoony episode that doesn't really canonically add to the story, but it's just an episode to cover for that week until the manga catches up. I personally, it depends how it's done, but a lot of times if you go like just to slow the pacing down, it definitely can hinder the overall experience. Because the filler, if you watch the filler episodes later on, you can just skip. Like if I'm rewatching Naruto, I can just skip the filler because I mean that's what a lot of people do. But the problem is when you like you mix filler and the actual storyline, so you can't just skip an episode. You kind of have to watch through it if you want to see the story. That's where I feel like the viewer kind of gets screwed there. Little side tangent, not really part of the question, but
that's
just
fine.
while we're on it.
Part of what we wanted to throw out there. So,
Yeah.
interested to know everybody's thoughts or feelings. You got a favorite TV show? You want to tell us we're wrong? I know Corey, somewhere out there, going to be giving us shit about this whole Dragon Ball Z subject. That's fine. Let us know. Email us vgrpod@gmail.com. We'll be happy to listen to some of your rants. At Bear Haas, we believe soap shouldn't just clean you, it should elevate you. That's why each bar is cold pressed by hand using ingredients so natural but borderline concerning. We start with dew collected from yoga mats at dawn, then we infuse it with essential oils of endangered herbs, lovingly harvested by people who've never heard of Wi-Fi. Our secret ingredient, Whisper fermented moon basil. Every bar of Bear Haas takes 40 days to cure and 40 more to emotionally mature. When you lather with Bear Haas, you're not just washing your body, you're rinsing away the burden of those who still use store-bought soap. Bear Haas, because purity isn't a goal, it's a lifestyle we invented first. Visit bearhaas.su and enter code VGRPOD for 10% off your first order and a free sample if you qualify. So, I think it's that time. We're going to jump into the main episode, and this week we are going to talk about Final Fight for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. I've really got to work on getting audio buttons up in here. Final Fight is originally released in the arcade November of 1989. This is important. SNES, it was released in 1991, so 2 years later it came out. Developed by Capcom, published by Capcom, and I'm going to call it a single-player beat-em-up. I call it a single-player beat-em-up because the Super Nintendo version is one player only. But the stories are exact same from the arcade port to the Super Nintendo port. You are a former wrestler, current mayor of Metro City, Mike Hager, and your daughter Jessica has been kidnapped. You recruit your daughter's boyfriend Cody and his formerly gay friend Guy to take back the streets and rescue your daughter from the Mad Gear Gang and restore peace of your beloved city. And I know I called Guy gay, and I'll explain that in just a second. One of the most influential arcade games of all time gets a near-perfect port for the SNES only 2 years after its initial release. But it didn't get through this without any scars. Small things that happened in this. In the SNES version, there's only 2 to 3 enemies that attack you at a time. In the arcade, there's 8 or 9 guys coming at you. 2 of the bosses, actually, I think the very first 2, the guy whose name was Damned, the other guy's name was Sodom. They renamed them to Thrasher and Katana. I guess just to be safe from parents or something. I don't know. All the alcohol references have been removed. There's a bonus stage where you beat the hell out of a car. In the arcade, the guy comes out and he cries, "Oh my god!" But in the SNES version, he says, "Oh my car." And the thing is, truthfully, they sound exactly the same. So you really don't know. It's just it's that whole subjective influence. But to touch real quick on this whole calling Guy gay, in Japan, that was his name. His name was Gay. So you had Mike Hagar, Cody, and Gay. Don't know why, but they brought it over here. It's like, yeah, no, we're gonna call him Guy, and then they cut him out of the Super Nintendo version. So I imagine, if nothing else, Aiden probably is a little like, who the fuck is this gay guy, gay? What is this all about? So with that, Aiden, here's pretty much your backstory on a lot of it. There's a couple other things in there, but what's your first thoughts of this game?
First thoughts of the game. Obviously, it's a beat 'em up. I'm not the hugest beat 'em up guy, but this one, it wasn't too bad at all. Uh, a little one dimensional personally, but hey, I mean, beating guys up, the combos felt satisfying for sure. The premise was cool. Yeah, well, I mean, we'll touch on it more, but not a ton to. My initial thoughts was not very deep. Did not have a ton of initial thoughts, but it's kind of what I got going so far.
Well, that's fair. Like I say, I'll admit off the top, this puddle's very shallow, but again, like I said earlier, this could be very nostalgia heavy, and that's where I want to share some of it. This was a very big arcade game. Any place that had a video game, this is the game they wanted in it. And I think this comes out even before Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat, obviously. So this was like the one. It looked good. The sprites are huge. And you and a buddy could get in here and go beat the hell out of a bunch of people to go save this girl, which, again, another censorship issue. In the arcade version, she's basically there in her bra. In the SNES, they've covered her up with a strapless dress. I don't know. I guess that probably helped a couple quarters get dropped in there. I'm sure it did, probably. Um, but I do recall walking the places, you can just hear Mike Hagar as he's sitting around, beating up guys, and it was just one of those ones that called out to you in the arcade. So when it came home to the SNES, yeah, I remember this was one of those, like say, renting it, getting my hands on it, playing it, and being disappointed because it was one player. And immediately though, that's my initial thought. Like say, you wanted to play with a friend. Most beat 'em ups, you want to play with your friends, because it's just better. It's just better to get together with a buddy, couple buddies, and beat the hell out of a bunch of other people. I mean, peace, love, and whipping somebody's ass. I think it's just the best way to put that. So, um, Aiden, I guess I'll start with this idea. What do you think of the graphics and the sounds? How did those go for you as this port went?
Sounds wasn't horrible. Music wise, I didn't stand out a ton. Something annoying though is I feel like I'd instantly beat a stage, and then before I even get a chance to move in the right direction, you'd have that big finger pointing, go this way, and that big sound. I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
man, I understand the point of the game. I mean, it's a beat 'em up. It's not like, I mean, give me a second here. But other than that, I mean, the punches sounded good. I like the sound of like the combos. Like you said, the guys screaming. It wasn't bad sound wise. It wasn't horrible. Nothing stood out to me too much. Graphically, I could tell what everything was. I think this is a pretty big step below than Turtles in Time. Personally, the other beat 'em up we played previously, a couple episodes before this. If you haven't watched that, check it out. I feel like it's a step below that, but not bad whatsoever. I'm not trashing on it, but I don't know. Sound and graphically, I wasn't blown away by it, but also it wasn't offensive whatsoever.
Okay, well, I'm going to first come back at you at this whole. You thought the graphics were better for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4? I mean,
100%. I think
okay.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle 2 was one of the better, graphically, one of the better games that we've played so far. I feel like.
I might have my nostalgia blinders on and looking through those rose tinted glasses, but I mean, I thought it looked great. I mean, Mike Hagar is just a big buff dude. I mean, which is itself is just totally ludicrous. Like, what the hell's this wrestler who doesn't wear a shirt down the street with a damn pair of overalls as the mayor of Metro City down here beating the hell out of guys with his hands?
Why is he himself going to rescue her? Just RKOing everybody in sight.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, but I thought it was really intriguing that all the characters looked very good. They stood out. they didn't even really abuse the whole the color swap on the different characters. I mean, it happens. You've got um, palettes, I think is the right word, palette swaps on different characters where you'll have the same guy looks like that, because
Mm-hmm.
I think I guess that would be my one argument against the Turtles in time, because basically there you fought nothing but foot soldiers, so it was the same guy with different colors, maybe a different weapon.
Mm-hmm.
But this one here, you had a whole slew of different characters. Ones that I do want to point out, which again I know you probably played the SNES version. There's a guy, I want to say his name was Jack and Sid, punk rockers. You'll notice them because they stood out really kind of weird.
Yeah,
White
I know what you're talking
t-shirts.
about.
Okay. Did you know that actually in the arcade game, this is Roxy and Poison, two women who were, very scantily dressed because their shirts were much higher up. They're wearing short shorts. But America, when they brought this over to America, as the story goes, they were afraid of Capcom America weren't going to like this. Also, on the idea of we can't be beating up women. Um, Fair enough. They didn't want to make that a normalcy thing because, again, it's pretty cool to hell yeah and get together and beat the hell out of some guys, but now you can't throw some chicks in here. You can't do that stuff. Well, the way they justified it, Capcom, to when they brought it to America, was they called them basically transgenders, that they were dudes who wanted to be women. And it was just like this whole thing. And I guess that was the story of how these characters worked out in the arcade. They still look like women. They still, like I say, look scantily clad. But the story was they weren't women. They were transgenders who wanted to look like that. So they left that in the game. That's how they described it. When the
That's funny.
SNES got it, they're like, yeah, no, we're not going to do that. We're just going to, they're guys now. Okay.
That's a
So
PR nightmare.
they are straight up guys. Yeah, it's a really bad one. It kind of still hangs over the whole game itself at this time. So I think that's kind of why it kind of died off and just kind of went away as much as it did. But um, back into the idea of the soundtrack, I recall the music. I know it's there, but again, this is from hours of playing it as a kid in the arcade, which the music does match it pretty well as towards coming towards the SNES. So the port, again, like I say, it's nearly perfect. On the idea of coming from graphics over. Graphics a little bit probably up a notch. Better graphics card, I guess, would be the best way to put it in the arcade. Sound chip for the arcade, the SNES, I think it's the same thing. So, one for one, no, but one for 1.5, sure. But so as we went through this, Aiden, like I said, I know you said you got into it a little bit. You didn't get too far, or didn't beat it. I'll admit, I didn't. I've never beaten this SNES version. But with what you're able to get, what you're able to play, what was your least favorite part of this game?
I want to say my least favorite part was it was a little one dimensional. I liked what the big buff guy. I ended up playing a run of kind of each of them. The big buff guy, is that the Mike Haggard?
Yeah.
I liked that his like jump sideways kick thing I liked. But there's only two buttons. I don't know if that was just because it's a port. Yes, NES port didn't like add anything else into it, which is fine, but I feel like there could have been more added different combos, like maybe like an up kick or something like that. I don't know. It's pretty much walking around just mashing one button, which that's not super uncommon for beat 'em ups, but I kind of wish there was a little more to it. You have, I don't know if there's more later in the game, but the only like other like, kind of power up thing to make it unique was little knives on the ground where you kick them and they drop the knives and you could throw one knife at somebody.
Mm-hmm.
I think yeah.
Did you with Mike Haggard? Did you grab anybody, pick anybody up?
Yeah, I did slaying people, but I mean that was the same button. I didn't know if there's a way to like kind of make
They
that happen
they
every time or
they did make this game as a 2-button deal. So even in the arcade, you had basically a punch and a jump. So yeah, it was very
Mm.
limited on its move set. But things like with Mike Haggard, you could jump and pile drive the guy, or yeah, give him pile drive. So you flip him over and you drop him on his head. If you grabbed hold of him, push one way, you give him a suplex. I don't think he did a different move if you pushed into him or up or down. So um, it was simple in that idea. So I get that.
But I can't hold that too much against it because it is an arcade port and It's a one-player beat 'em up. I guess it could have had a more wider range of move sets and abilities and kind of attacks, but it wasn't not a major gripe about this game. I don't have a whole lot negative to say about it, but I'm kind of, it's one of those situations where not a ton of like overwhelmingly like insane things, great things about this game, but also not a ton of things done wrong. Uh, yeah, I want to say the limited move set would probably be my biggest gripe with this game if I had to pick one.
That's fair, and I get that because even back into the NES, you had Double Dragon, which was a beat 'em up like this. It had the same flaw, which I'm going to come out as my first thing I really didn't like about this is it was a two-player game that basically was treated as a one-player game, because for some reason they didn't know how to program it. They didn't want to program it. I don't know. Uh, so you didn't have that. But in Double Dragon, you had like almost a, I don't say an RPG system, but like a leveling up system to where for every punch or kick you landed, you got 10, maybe 20 points. Once you hit like 1,000, I think, maybe 100, 500, I can't remember what the number is, you gained a new move. Back elbow, a drop kick, a jump kick, like all these things. And I think up to like 6 levels you could gain where you gain up all these new moves. So it kept it kind of fresh, kept you going. This one here, I think part of the idea was they wanted something simplistic, and it was more of the idea of we want beauty over top of being absurd, being overly complicated. It really was to a point just the classic beat 'em up. Hit the button, jump, beat 'em up, you die, put another quarter in. So, but I can see where you're coming from on that. And I still think, though, it's the worst thing about this is the idea that it needed to be two-player, which strangely in the later versions, Final Fight 2 and 3, suddenly they can do that. So I just think it was poor programming aside from the idea of we want to get this out now.
Mm-hmm.
But what was your favorite part of this? What worked for you?
I want to say the combos were one of my favorite things. The combos always felt satisfying when you got your full punch kick combo and they fly backwards. That was always a satisfying thing to do. It's kind of one of those situations where I don't have anything crazy standing out to me. Again, I didn't play super far into this game. Played about an hour's worth of gameplay, but I want to say my favorite thing about this game probably the combos. I'm gonna be completely honest. To me, this game it's one of those games where I kind of play mindlessly. I just run around. I mean, a lot of beat 'em ups is like that. Don't get me wrong, and I could just be not a huge fan of the genre. But yeah, my favorite thing is the combos and how it felt smooth. The attacks definitely felt smooth in this game, I will say. Like the punches and kicks and moves, and if you could kind of get in a groove, especially with Mike, where you could jump into some back kick someone, another one, you pile drive them, and it knocks everyone back, and then you kick them. It's like it smooth combos and smooth punches, which I guess is pretty essential for a beat 'em up.
I don't disagree. I think it's definitely something that's necessary. I myself, I'm kind of with you. Like I said, I do like the way it controlled. It feels good to beat them. Like it almost feels like, I don't want to say like some games you play they feel heavy. Some games you play they don't feel like they respond well. They kind of slide everywhere. I think this, like say, you wanted to walk to your right, you walk to your right, you punched a guy. It felt like you hit him. It responded well, like you actually landed a hit. So, like I said, I definitely give it that feeling part there you got on it. I myself, like I say, I'll go to this. I have the arcade port of this available on the Capcom arcade that I had on my Switch. It's the same thing we played the was it Knights of the Round or whatever we played when we were together that one night. It's on that same game system or whatever the hell it is game. So I played it, and of course with that the ability to feed quarters into it, I was able to beat it and see where it went to at the end. So I at least know what it looks like from beginning to end of it. I guess the little gripe will be that for some reason this seems a hell of a lot harder because I played through this as many lives as it would give you, and as many continues. So I think it's almost like 30 lives, what you can get if you use all the lives in the menu to turn it up. I still could in this round, I couldn't get past Sodom or Katana. I did not beat them up the cars. The enemies were too strong in this, so it kept me away from two of the things I really liked. One, I do like Sodom as a enemy. I think he's one of the best bosses in this. You're in a wrestling ring fighting a samurai wearing jeans and a t-shirt. I mean,
Yeah.
hell yeah. I mean, fuck, you can't go wrong with that. It just seems like something that's amazing. And then, of course, you go into the bonus level, which you said you did make it to and try, where you beat the hell out of that car. That's just somewhere I remember. I think there was even a commercial where because it actually went into a Street Fighter. They did Street Fighter 2 as well. You beat up a guy's car and trash it. I think there was a commercial somewhere where they tried to do that to like a Nissan and like they couldn't beat it up or something. It's like, hey, what's going on? Why ain't this working? So I do recall that happening somewhere.
It was difficult there. I was definitely abusing my extra lives there. I just kept spamming the extra lives, but it did seem difficult. Like one thing that kind of annoyed me, some like little mini bosses, you kind of beat them and they'd have that a moment of invincibility, where like no matter how much you beat them up, they wouldn't take damage for a little bit of time. That was kind of a frustrating thing to deal with in a beat 'em up because it doesn't really make sense. Like, why am I beating up? But he's taking literally zero. Why is he invincible right now when I'm kicking him on his ass? But it was pretty difficult because the enemy's health pool was pretty strong. I do wonder if that's one thing they did. They reduced the enemy size. I don't know if that was to help with like lag, but I wonder if they reduced the enemy size but increased the remaining enemy's health. I wonder if that's something they did. It could have been.
Maybe. I'm going to point a little different because, like I say, I know earlier I mentioned in the arcade there'd be up to like almost 8 or 9 guys on the screen at one time fighting you individually. In the Super Nintendo, because of limitations of the available RAM, I think they cut it down to maybe 3 at any given time. So there's never more than 3 enemies on the screen with you. I think instead of making their health more, I think just their ability to hit you. Because I found I was strangely dying a lot to the littlest guy on the screen who shouldn't have been the biggest problem. I'm fighting the big Ondor Jr., the big Wong Hong guy who was the big ball dude who would run and hit you. And out of nowhere, this little Jack guy would just punch me and like, ugh, and I'd die. It's like, what the hell? So I think that's where they balanced it at, and it didn't work well. But I knew there wouldn't be a whole lot in this, but like I say, it was something I think was kind of important to get out there because it was a big first year game for the Super Nintendo. It wasn't big enough that we needed to draft it, but I'm glad we had the opportunity to play it. I wish CJ had the opportunity to play it because he'd probably bitch and carry on about it. But Aiden, what's your final thoughts here? What do you think?
Final thoughts of this game. It's an interesting beat 'em up. The story, I can get the appeal. It's a funny story. It's a single player beat 'em up. I do think it would benefit from being 2-player, playing with some friends. It'd definitely be more fun. A little bit one-dimensional, but also not offensive by any means. I don't have a ton of gripes with this game, but I also don't have a ton of great things to say about it. It didn't really bring me that much excitement. I want to say I played it for about an hour. I kind of just mindlessly played it. But I can see playing this in an arcade, this being badass for sure. As a kid, but as I get older, it's definitely a little one-dimensional, but also not anything too bad either. Would I recommend this? I probably wouldn't. Just because of the reasons I listed, it's a little one-dimensional. It's not a bad beat 'em up by any means, and I want to get off by saying I didn't. In Turtles in Time, people say that was one of the better beat 'em ups on the SNES. A lot of people say it's the best, and I didn't love that as much either. I'm just not the biggest beat 'em up guy, so take my opinion with a grain of salt. For those same exact reasons, I probably wouldn't play it again either, just because not a big beat 'em up guy. Yeah, so yeah, that's pretty much it for me. I assume you a little nostalgia mixed in. You're a little bit more of a beat 'em up guy. You might have a little bit of a differing opinion here.
Somewhere I want to think I am, and I think it's just it's a I don't know if it's nostalgia one or just the reminiscence of the arcade where, like say, you're in there and just mashing buttons and it is mindless. It's a simple play style of just going in there, beating up stuff, go on to the next screen, keep going. Um, I I knew that this, like I said, wouldn't be top tier on what we wanted. I thought this had more important history to it because on the Super Nintendo there is three versions of this. Um, and then later on, I think they attempt to go to 3D and actually they slide a couple of these characters into a couple of the Capcom versus Marvel games and all these different ones like that. Um, so I thought it had some roots just to kind of get some video game history into this. But I definitely don't think that it's a great game either. It's a so-so game. Um, if you have an ability to play it somewhere, whether it be through the arcade collection, whether it be through other means, it's in your collection, and you just never tried it, try it. Give it a shot. It's there. I wouldn't pursue it. I wouldn't go pay whatever the current price is for it to bring it into your SNES. If it's part of a lot, sure, but don't hunt it out. Really, if you want to play the best one, I'll recommend 3. And I think it's important to play this because the beat 'em up genre still exists today. They still make Turtles ones. I think can't think of the one for Sega is uh, Streets of Rage. They made a new one of those a couple years ago. Final Fight died. It's gone. When they made it to a 3D version, it just sucked. It's it. It's gone. You'll never see it again. So this is about the only atmosphere where you'll ever get the opportunity to see and play this. So it's a good plot, good place to pick it up. Will I play it again? Maybe. But I hunt it down, like I said, more for nostalgia than I do more for the great game that it is. Uh, 3 is hard as hell. Like I said, I remember I think I actually beat it with your dad many years ago. Like just one night we rented it. I had it. It's like, hey dude, you want to play this with me? He said sure, and we hung out and stayed up until halfway through the night and somehow made it to the end of the damn game. And it's like, yeah, okay, well I'm going to bed now, and it was done and over with. So, um, outside of that, did you say if you'd play it again? Is that something you're coming back to, or?
I probably wouldn't, to be honest. You have a good point. Play for the history. Uh, one of those classic franchises that unfortunately died out, as you said. But play for the history. Yeah, that'd probably be the only reason I'd come back to it. But it's probably not very likely, if I'm being honest, personally.
No, it is what it is. Like I say, it's just out there. So that's about where we're gonna leave it on that. But again, like I say, it's a little weird when we do it. The average gets a little messed up because there's only 2 of us instead of 3. But you want to give this thing a number, Aiden? You got a 1 to 10 for us?
Yeah, I'll give it a number. I'm thinking kind of middle of the road, not offensive. Like I said, not a lot of ups, not a ton of downs, not a ton of ups. I'm gonna give it a 5.5. That's where I'm at right now. 5.5.
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. You're hitting it just right. I'm with you. I'm gonna go with 5.5 on that too, and feel like I'm actually even giving it nostalgia points to go with it. So I'm glad to hear that you can see where it's coming from. It's at, but
Yeah.
it's a mediocre game that's right there in the middle. I do think it's pretty. I do think the soundtrack's you're not something you're ever going to remember, but it has its place somewhere. Capcom made a decent beat 'em up. This was their attempt to get into the market. They found better things, i.e., Street Fighter and Marvel franchises. So simple math. We put it at 5.5. I think that would call it just a good game in the scale. But I think that's all we really got. So let's wrap this thing up. Aiden. What do the folks need to do?
Guys, you need to like, share, subscribe, comment, do all that great stuff. You got a buddy that needs podcasting, needs something to listen to, send them our way. If you got a question, we're doing a question of the week. If you want to see that full version, check us out on the Spotify. You have everything full version, audio version. If you want to see our pretty faces, you're listening on Spotify. Check us out on the tube. But like I said, questions wise, if you got one to send us, you got an opinion on a question we've already stated, send us an email, vgrpod@gmail. Check us out on all the socials, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, you name it. Check us out. Next week, we're going to try to shoot for Donkey Kong Country. Is that what it is? Donkey Kong
Donkey Kong Country.
Donkey Kong Country. We're gonna try to shoot for it at CJ's game. He got a little personal stuff going with it. He said he'd expect timeline. He'd expect to be back for it, but we'll see. If not, we'll be back with another extra. Haven't really decided yet, but that's pretty much all for this one. Unless you got some more stuff to add.
I've got nothing else. Like I said, we do appreciate y'all listening. Don't forget to like us, share us, do all those good things. Give us that little finger bang on the internet, and until next time.
Yep. Peace out.
Peace. That was kind of in sync. I like that last little there.
Yeah.
Okay.